All right, 10:44 is the time. We're staying on top of the news in Paulding County. The sheriff is approaching the podium to give us an update. We want to get you out there live to see exactly what's going on. Let's listen in to what he has to say.
I'm introduce the gentleman behind me, Sheriff Gary Gulledge. This is our sheriff of Paulding County. Sheriff Dave Robertson, the sheriff of Floyd County. Got Sheriff Pat Labatt of Fulton County and Sheriff Craig Owens of Cobb County. As you can see, when you've got this many sheriffs here, we've got a very serious situation. And so I want to give you the updated information, and then Sheriff Gulledge will come forward and he will provide some additional information. So, as we mentioned earlier, at about 6:13 this evening, 2 Paulding County deputies responded to a residence over in the Baywood, in a subdivision just off Virgie Ballentine Drive. Upon their arrival, they were met with gunfire from a suspect who was inside a home. The call was a domestic dispute, and as soon as the deputies arrived, they were met with gunfire. As I stated earlier, one of our deputies was struck. The other deputy was able to avoid the gunfire. In the midst of other deputies arriving on scene, hearing the call for service, they were met with gunfire as well. At this time, there's only been 1 deputy shot. While our deputies were on the scene, the female victim, who was the other party of the domestic dispute, she arrived back on scene and she had been shot. So we know that she is in ICU right now in stable condition from what I understand. That is at this moment, that could change. But at this moment, the female victim is in stable condition in ICU. So we had agencies from literally all over the state of Georgia. I named a few earlier. At this point, there are hundreds of law enforcement officers here or have just left the scene, and we want to thank them. The sheriff will get into that. I can report to you that the male suspect, and we're not identifying that individual at this time, is deceased. He is deceased as a result of what appears to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation will be assisting in this situation, and they will conduct the investigation from this point forward. They're not here with us at this time, but we will have an updated press conference at some point. I don't know if it'll be tonight or tomorrow, but we will have more information forthcoming about the individual that was involved in this situation. But I can report that the suspect in this situation is dead as a result of a apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. I want to introduce my sheriff, Sheriff Gary Gulledge. He's got a couple remarks, so let him speak, and then we might have an opportunity for a couple questions, okay? Thank you very much.
You'll have to bear with me a second. I'm Sheriff Gary Gulledge of Paulding County. I want to ask this community, or let y'all know that tonight we've lost a hero. Deputy Brandon Cunningham has succumbed to a gunshot wound at the emergency room over here at Paulding. Ask this community, as you always do, to join behind us, stand beside us, and hold us up. It's going to be a tough time for all of us and all of our guys. I know what Paulding County is, and I know the people here. I know what you'll do. I ask that you please keep this family in your prayers. Everybody, even if you're not in this county, I ask that you pray for this family, both blood and blue. Everybody here is hurting. Our whole staff is hurting. I want to thank this entire metro area of law enforcement. I've had so many calls, I wouldn't even start to try to name them. I'd leave off 50. The sheriffs are standing here with me. I'm sorry to say that I've had to stand behind them during the same thing. The sheriffs always come together and they stick together. The chiefs from all over the metro area is also called. Everybody's offered help. They just show up. My hat's off to them. I apologize for my appearance. I've been shooting all day, so I look awful with or without a hat, so I can't fix that. But I want to ask this community one more time, y'all please remember the Cunningham family in your prayers. Don't go to bed without saying one for them and for our office, if you would, please. Thank you.
So a couple more just key pieces of information so you guys know. Deputy Brandon, B-R-A-N-D-O-N, Cunningham. Common spelling C-U-N-N-I-N-G-H-A-M. Deputy Brandon Cunningham. Deputy Cunningham began his career with the Paulding County Sheriff's Office in 2020. I don't have the exact date. He's been in our Uniform Patrol Division for approximately 2 years. He's been employed with the Sheriff's Office for about 4.5 years. He was a great deputy. Good young man. He was 30 years of age. Brandon leaves behind 2 children, and we will have more information. Obviously, this is a fluid situation, as we discussed a little earlier, but as the sheriff stated, please pray for our community, for our sheriff's office, and for his family. This is This is something that has never happened in the history of the Paulding County Sheriff's Office. We have never lost a deputy in the line of duty. This is something that, unfortunately, some of these sheriffs behind us have had to deal with, and please pray for our community, our sheriff's office, and this family. If you have maybe just a couple questions, we'll try to field those, but if it's in-depth or detailed about the situation, we're not going to be able to answer them at this time, okay?
Where's the woman being held at this time?
So the female victim in this situation is at an Atlanta area hospital. I don't want to name the one, but she is at an Atlanta area hospital. So right now, at this point, it's too soon to tell. We don't know if any of our deputies fired. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation is actively on scene. They're interviewing people that were involved in the situation, our deputies. So at this point, we don't know if our deputies fired back. Unfortunately, it appears as if our deputies were ambushed. And so it's, as the sheriff stated, this is a tremendously tragic situation. Our hearts are broken. You see us holding it together, but there is already heartache. There's already tears. So just please hold everyone up in prayer. I'll take one more question, then we're gonna get back to the families.
Did you ever have contact with them before, or did you ever make contact with the suspect?
Verbal contact? It is my understanding that I don't believe we were able to make verbal contact with the suspect. And we don't know at what point where he took his own life, but we know that our deputies were in the midst of a hail of gunfire when they arrived on scene, and the additional responding deputies that came on scene were also involved in that. They didn't know where the gunfire was coming from. So, as you can imagine, this is a very traumatic situation for all the individuals involved. So, at this point, we don't want to release too much information. Obviously, this is a fluid situation, an active investigation. Even though the individual is deceased, we're still actively looking into this. GBI will help us, but at this point, we don't want to release too many of the details about the situation. We'll have more information in the forthcoming days. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. 30 years old. Yes, thank you so much.
That's all we have time for tonight.
Okay, so you've been listening again to an update there in Paulding County. We do want to walk you through it just quickly. They did confirm that a 30-year-old sheriff's deputy named Brandon Cunningham, 30 years old, 2 children left behind, was shot and killed, ultimately succumbing to his injuries at a hospital there. Walking you through this timeline, setting the table, 6:13 is when 2 deputies arrived there at the scene there, this near Hiram High School there. When they got there, they say one man had opened fire, hitting one of the deputies, not 2 as we had thought earlier. But they say a woman that was involved in the domestic situation came back. She is also in stable condition at the hospital. Again, we can confirm 30-year-old Brandon Cunningham being held a hero tonight after being killed in the line of duty in Paulding County, the first in their history of the department. Of course, we have team coverage for you. We'll follow this story. We're going to go to a quick break right now.